need to screenshot that because that's exactly what you look like. That's it right there. Where's mine? Show mine. You didn't bring it up, did you? Looks like me. Feel like I'm better looking, but whatever.
Welcome to the Real Talk podcast with Midge and JJ. My name is JJ. I'm an off-market buyer, private buyer, wholesaler. This is Midge. Midge is a realtor in the GTA with a vast knowledge of all things real estate. Real Talk podcast comes out every Wednesday, hopefully to break up your week, give you a little laugh. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can click the bell icon if you want to, so you get notifications of when each episode comes out. And also like all of our social media platforms at Midge and JJ. Don't forget to like and follow everywhere you can. Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Whatever.
So
whatever.
Today, what we're going over is, do you know how to price homes properly in this current market? Seems like a lot of people don't know how to price houses properly. So we're going to go over how to price homes properly. Today we'll look at looking at some relevant comparables too, so that way you understand what you're looking at when you're pricing homes properly. We'll also touch on everything from lot size to square footage to how many bedrooms and how many garages, all that kind of stuff that you would look at when you're finding comparables. We'll also get into the calculations of how to price a home for MLS and how to price a home to buy off market, and also how to price a home to sell to wholesale or to assign. But first, we're going to get into some headlines here. First of all, maybe I should say, how are you, Midge?
Jeez, I wonder when that was going to come. I'm all right, love.
I almost forgot about you.
I'm here.
She's over here. Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm over here. Good. Week's been good, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
Nothing. Listen, I woke up this morning, my eyes open, I breathed a breath. So yeah, we're doing all right. I'm not toes up yet. No, good. All good.
You were out doing some photos of a house today.
I was. Nice. Beautiful listing got coming up. Gorgeous. Yes. So I was out in Bourne getting that done. And so this is quite a convenient topics that we're going to be covering of how to price in such a market. And looking forward to getting into it.
Okay. So, let's get into some headlines first.
Exciting news.
The news headlines. Okay, so first thing I got here, I was just reading this. Ontario moves to ban the use of non-disclosure agreements in real estate transactions. So if you and your realtor have a falling out and a lawsuit comes up, I guess the standard practice now is to sign a non-disclosure agreement, so that way, you know, you can't talk about it, or you can't report your realtor to RICO, and, you know, gives them a blemish on their report card, so to say. But now they're moving April 1st. They're changing it so that way you can't sign non-disclosure agreements anyways. No longer the ability to do a non-disclosure agreement. So they can report you to RICO. That goes on your record, and people can look that up. I wanted to ask you how you felt about that news. I know you haven't really run into this issue before.
So this was actually news to me. So there's a few changes coming up to RICO that are going to be implemented. And I was actually supposed to be on a seminar this morning, but I forgot. So I missed that. But yeah, there's a few changes coming in. I guess that is one of them. It's something that I've never heard of it before, because luckily I've never been in a legal dispute with any of my clients. I just bury them in the backyard. No, so it was something totally new. I didn't even know what it was until I looked into it a little bit further. Do I agree with it? You know what? Yes, I do. I believe in transparency. I believe that we should, as realtors, conduct ourselves in an ethical manner. Not saying that it's unethical if someone has a lawsuit between a client and realtor, but I believe in full transparency. And yeah, if it makes us, better at our job, and I think a lot of the time where some of these lawsuits would come from would be lack of communication, lack of paper trail, and lack of fiduciary duties like that. When we take on a client, we have all these duties that we have to abide by. So don't mind it at all. Hopefully I'm never in that situation where I have to deal with it, but I don't mind that. I want to know who I'm working with. I want to know what kind of a character I'm working with. And so should the consumer, 100%.
Yeah, I hope that, if these do come out, and it does come out that, said realtor has lawsuit against them, it kind of explains what it is, because not everybody wants their dirty laundry out there. And it could be something stupid and small that,
Yeah, it could. And but again, if it is something stupid and small, and they do put an explanation, they usually do. Like when, excuse me, when Rico, puts large fines against realtors or some other form of punishment, which is losing their license, which that never happens. Fines, they have to take a course, or they've got to go to feelings classes, whatever.
No way. Feelings classes, like
like trigger classes. I was triggered.
How to speak to people properly and all that kind of stuff.
Well, right, yeah, the common sense stuff. They do actually report it, and they report the reasons why, findings, parts of the investigation of what they've done on their side. So they do report that. I wouldn't imagine they'd just be reporting stuff, JJ done this and we found him guilty of it and blah, blah. You know what I mean? I would imagine there'd be an explanation there.
Well, one of the scenarios they use in this article is someone purchased a house, and it was in regards to the chattels included, and supposedly the central vac system was supposed to be included. And when the new buyer took over on day of what's the word I'm looking for here? The closing day, when they moved in and got possession of the property, the central vac system was gone. So they sued their own realtor over that, because they didn't specify in the agreement that the central vac system was staying with the house. I was always under the assumption that, chattels are fixed things that are fixed to the wall.
No, that's fixtures. That's fixtures. So chattels, if you, chattel, but there's gray area in chattels too, right? So if you basically a chattel, if you pick the house up and turn it upside down and shake it, anything that falls out would be a chattel. Anything that doesn't would be a fixture. But there's gray area with chattels. So in an instant like that, if the realtor didn't put that in the agreement, then yeah, that's why write it in. If it's gray and you don't know, put it in the agreement.
Yeah, because fixtures includes things like chandeliers and stuff like that. If someone's got some kind of special attachment to the chandelier because it was passed down through their family or something like 100%. That, they say, I 100%. Want to take that with me. Otherwise, it's a fixture and it's staying with the house, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So if it, and I had this, with one of it was a Tiffany light fixture, right? So my clients wanted to take it with them. So you put that in the agreement. You never assume, you can't forget, you put that in the agreement. If you never, and that's the key with paperwork, right? When you're putting these offers together, never assume. Even mirrors that are affixed to the walls in the bathrooms, I put them in there. All mirrors in the bathrooms to be included, because it's a gray area. And if you don't know, write it down, put it in there.
Yeah,
just put it in there and cover your ass and cover your client's ass.
I agree.
Yeah.
So this is coming in April 1st. Supposedly Rico's going to be adding it into their code of ethics.
I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me, because I hopefully, touch wood, I'd never run into that situation.
Yeah. So the other thing, speaking of buying and selling properties here, I see that The Bank of Canada put a hold on interest rates last Wednesday, I think it was. No
Yeah.
more raises in the interest rates. It's going to hold steady for a while. I know a lot of people were looking into their crystal balls, and they're all fortune tellers, and maybe they should get me lottery numbers or like who's winning, the Super Bowl next year, so that way I know. But a lot of people were incorrect about this interest rate hikes and how there was going to be more. There's going to be more throughout 2023. Well, they put a hold on them. For now. We'll see what happens going forward, but we're on a hold now.
Yeah. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that our interest rate hikes are based on what the Feds do down in the US, right?
It does mention that.
Yeah, and if we don't keep up with that, then it just weakens our dollar, right? So the tune is going to tank. But with now the two banks going under down in the States.
Yeah.
So the Feds down there,
Valley Bank.
the Feds down in the States were going to raise interest rates. There was rustling in the trees that they were going to raise interest rates. But when these two banks went under, they decided not to, just because of that whole situation. So they put a hold on also, and now we've put a hold on. We've had these increases, the most increases we've ever experienced ever. In a shortest amount of time, in less than a year. It's hurting a lot of people. So I'm glad that they didn't raise, and we'll just have to see when the next announcement is and see what they do then. But hopefully they don't. Give people some breathing room. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of breathing and getting lots of air and wind to you, did you see this thing? The Junos, the annual Juno Awards were yesterday, and there was a streaker / protester that jumped up on stage while Avril Lavigne was on stage, with her body painted with some, protesting kind of slogans or whatever about Ontario going to start using some green space to produce 50,000 more homes. Did you see this thing?
I did see it. I saw it briefly. And Avril, what's her name?
Avril Lavigne, yeah.
Avril. She sounds like a headache, Mad. Avril Lavigne. She dealt with it pretty well. Didn't she tell her to get the fuck off the stage?
That's all she said. She said, "Get the fuck off," is what she said.
Thumbs up to her, man. Thumbs up to her. I like
and
it.
Like if you see the picture, which I'll throw up here, the girl looks super excited to see Avril Lavigne. She's in her face. It almost doesn't look like, a protest. It almost looks like just an excuse to get on in front of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people while the Juno Awards is going, and make a complaint. I get it. Like, you don't want to take up green space. You don't want to give away green space. But, what the Ontario government was saying was, for the 7,200 acres or something that they were going to take for this green space to build 50,000 homes, they're going to designate another 9,600 square acres or something like that of green space in certain areas around Toronto and, out to the west, Brantford, Paris area, stuff like that. They were going to designate.
So they're giving more back than what
space.
they're taking.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We do have, we don't have enough homes out there, obviously. So it's like, you're damned if you do, or damned if you don't.
I wonder if that girl is the same girl who's complaining that there's not enough housing for everybody.
Probably, and landlords are all scumbags.
Yeah. It's probably the same group who's out protesting for that, is out protesting. 100%. Don't build more homes. Yeah. I could be wrong, but we need some
trigger warnings on this.
Oh, for sure, trigger warnings. So trigger warnings. Let's talk about the dummy of the week. I've got a dummy of the week. In your world, it would be the Muppet of the week.
Muppet of the week. Yeah, absolute Muppet of the week.
My dummy of the week, which is going to lead us into kind of what we're talking about today. I'm constantly looking at properties. I'm looking at what other wholesalers are putting out there to buy. And I saw this guy put this house out that he gave us some comparables for the property. So his property was a detached. It's a 2-car garage. It's 1,600 square feet. And he gave a comparable, which was around 1.2 million. And he was saying, oh, this one has a smaller lot and it only has a 1-car garage. So I looked it up. Actually, not smaller, a narrower lot. So I looked it up. So this property is on a pie-shaped lot. Yeah, it's narrower at the front, but it's wider at the back.
Right.
The 1-car garage is actually a 1.5-car garage. So it's still a smaller garage. But the property he was using as his comparable was 2,400 and some odd square feet. And his property is 1,600 square feet. There's like 700, 800 square feet of difference in between.
So it's not even a comp.
Those aren't comparables, and his property, after looking at it and crunching my numbers on it, he was asking, I don't know, 1.1 something for it, 1.125 or something. This is a property that if it's going to be desirable to an investor, we're talking like $800,000. That's kind of where you got to start, like in that range, not 1.2. It's not even a comparable property. So that's my dummy of the week. I see this all the time, these overpriced properties being pushed out to yeah, what a Muppet. Definitely a Muppet. I just see it all the time. I see properties priced incorrectly. I wonder why they paid so much for these, and they're just not, it's not a desirable house for an investor at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you just got to look at some of these people sometimes, and they are so experienced. They shouldn't even be in the game because they don't know what they're doing. But I think people like that too will learn the hard way. It'll take them a little bit longer to learn that learning curve, that when you are dealing in wholesale, it's a little bit of a different world out there. You can't be snagging. At least if you're going to be in the game, at least learn the game.
Yeah, that house isn't going to sell. Nobody's going to buy it.
Learn the game. Learn how to price.
And speaking of that, I got a property a while back. Not a while back. This is like not that long ago. I put it out to investors, and I got this one guy who kept like coming at me saying, this house is garbage and it's not in good shape, and this is $800,000 property. I was asking $950 for it, and he talked about how bad it was. He just would not leave me alone. So I wanted to go back at him, but I chose not to. That house, because
you're a good guy.
Yeah, that I was asking $950 for. I ultimately got $970 for it, and it was appraised almost instantly at 1.3.
Right.
So who's the dummy now? Dummy.
Oh, have I got to write another one out now?
No, I just felt like getting that out. I hope he's
threw that
watching.
last one away.
Hope you're watching. He's probably not watching, but I hope you're watching, dummy.
Yeah. There's so many illegit. They want to play the game, but they don't know how to play the game. And it's not even that they don't know how, but they don't want to learn.
Yeah.
Like there's a plethora of information on the internet. I mean, some of it's crap, some of it's great information. All you got to do is read up on it.
Yeah.
But they don't. That's as simple as it is. But they don't want to. That's too much work. But you know what? It's an expensive lesson to learn. Right? Yeah. When you're dealing with properties, it's a bloody expensive lesson to learn.
So have you got a Muppet of the week?
Do I have a Muppet of the week?
Of course you do. You got something in there.
Have I?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've come across any Muppets in the last week.
I thought you were going to say me. You're the Muppet of the week.
No, you're just the standard Muppet. I don't think I've got any Muppets of the week.
No Muppets.
No.
I'm disappointed. I thought
I thought I'd have one. I can tell you one, but I don't know who this person is. But every night I walk my dogs. I've got my 2 German Shepherds, and Jesus Christ, these people in Milton here that think it's okay to have their dogs off their leash. And so I was walking the dog the other night, and some Muppets got their dog off the leash. I could see him in the field, but and I just like some of them. I shout across, "Put your fucking dog on a leash." But this one it didn't. But drives me bananas. Drives me bananas, man. Yeah. There's a bylaw here. Dogs are supposed to be leashed up.
Probably the same Muppet who doesn't pick up their dog poop in Milton.
You know what? Another pet peeve of mine, but don't get me going on that. That's a really shitty topic for me.
That's a whole podcast in itself.
Oh, do not get me going. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Speaking of my Muppets, my dummy about pricing homes incorrectly. First thing we're going to take a look at is finding comparable properties. How do you find comparable properties, Midge? When you're about to list a property, or someone comes to you and says, "Midge, I want to sell my house. What's it worth?" And what's your first kind of step in finding comparables?
Well, first and foremost, I look at the immediate area, right? And I always try to, the same as every other good agent, try and pull the comps in the immediate area. When was the last property sold that was actually on that street, right? And then, if it was a couple of years back, then I'll work it forward with the numbers and the differences within the two properties. But I try and find comps in the immediate neighborhood, so more on a micro market. Look at the differences between properties, which there's a lot. Look at available listings, look at listings that have been cancelled, because all of those elements together, they tell you a story of buyer sentiment and what buyers are willing to pay out there, right? 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, but one thing I also, I always like to beam in on too is who's my audience for this property as well, right? So that's where location comes into play. But yeah, so I always try and look at the micro market, what's cooking in that area, what's the activity like in that area, how many days on the market are these properties sitting before they're selling, the ones that were cancelled, how many days on the market, the condition of the home. I want to see the additions, the minuses and the pluses. Do we have a pool? Have we got a hot tub? So there's a bunch of different things that I look at, square footage, everything. Micro market first, give me my comps in the last 30 to 90 days. If it's a fast moving market like what we have experienced, and this market now, we've got so many ups and downs month to month. Sometimes you can't even go back 90 days. You got to look at the last 30 days, right? Yeah. So, so many different approaches I take on that. Style of design. Yeah. And you gather all that information together. That draws me a picture of where I need to be roundabout. And then I go in and I deduct and add, if there's an extra bedroom here, what's the value of that, right? You've got to find the value of that, which is why you've got to look in that immediate community and see what buyers. We don't put price on properties. Buyers do.
Yeah,
so what is that one extra bedroom that's sold down the road worth to that buyer, right?
Yeah.
So a lot goes into it. It is a bit of an art. You can't just, as many people do, just slap up a price based on what's selling. You got to really get to the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah, that's like this my dummy of the week there I was talking about. You got to really look at the property when it comes to pricing things and finding comparables in this wholesaling market. So when it comes to the comparables, we got to look at everything, the house type, obviously.
But yours is very different.
First and foremost, yeah, a little different.
But yours is pretty different from going on MLS for resale versus what you're looking for in a property.
Yeah, I don't care.
So
if
your pricing is completely different from ours. Right?
Yeah, I'll get into how to price later, but when I'm looking at comparables, I'm looking at same type of house. Lot size, square footage, how many garages the property has, what does it look like? A lot of the times you see people who use, especially in the wholesaling world, they'll use a bungalow and compare it to like a 1.5 or a 2-story. If it's a 2-story, you're comparing to other 2 stories. And is it a stick and siding 2-story, or is it a full brick house? Is it a brick and siding house? What I like to do is I like to look on kind of, whatever piece of, using House Sigma to look at things. Go and look at, what houses sold. And then I want to look at what this house looks like on Google Street View. Drop the address in, take a walk essentially down the street, take a look at the house, see what it looks like. What does it look like compared to the other ones that have sold recently? So that's what I look at is, okay, I got a number. I got an idea of what this house is worth based on, those factors, the type of
Well, that's
house,
very, it's so that
bedrooms,
in
bathrooms.
that aspect, it's very similar to resale and put it on MLS. So you look for the same aspects that we do, right?
Yeah. And it right down to bedrooms, bathrooms,
Yeah.
square footage, whatever. I know bathrooms isn't a big deal because you can always add a bathroom, but
If you have the square footage.
yeah, bedrooms are important. Is there a finished basement? Is there a separate entrance? All those things come into play when you're doing finding a comparable. Never mind the pricing it out, just finding a comparable in the first place. Yeah. So now when you want to talk about pricing, pricing properties correctly. So you've got your process of finding your comparables, first of all, but how do you price a property to go on MLS? And I know it's a little bit based on, like you said, based on the market,
so it's based,
what
yeah,
things have been selling for.
So I think first you have to determine what kind of a market are we in. What is the balance of supply and demand, right? So that's first and foremost. And in today's market, we're in a pretty flat market, right? There's still activity going on, but it's, we lack listings and we also lack buyers, right? So it's a pretty flat market across. So all the information that I look for when I'm looking through the comps, then I start to apply that to the subject property, right? So what have we got as far as the subject property? What's the condition of it? Do we have any upgrades? The exterior of it, is it full brick? The same as, all the information we look at the preliminary stage, style and design. And again, I take the information from cancelled listings, terminated listings, price changes, sold and available over a course of, and what I've been starting to do in this market too is actually going back to 2021, because 2021 paints me a more of an accurate picture. We're a little bit more than 2021 prices right now, right? With the ups and downs of the appreciation of the market. So, I'll even go all the way back to then and work my way forward with the ups and downs of the months and come to a number based on that and based on what movement is happening around our subject property area.
Yeah. So when you're pricing too, you're pricing a home so that way it's like a little bit competitive. You get some interest from some buyers.
Right.
And then take some
So that
offers.
comes down to strategy, right?
Yeah.
There's many different strategies you can take when you're pricing. Do we want to be a little bit more aggressive? There are some multiple offers that are happening now, right, in today's market, but they're pricing them aggressively, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to do that strategy? Here's the pros and cons of it. Do you want to just price at market value? Here's the pros and cons of it. Do you want to price it above, which some people do because they think they'd be negotiated down? And here's the pros and cons of that market, right? Not a smart move to price it above, never is. So there's different strategies you can use, and that depends on the conversations that you have with your clients, right?
Yeah.
And the movement of the market.
For sure. And that, applies to the wholesaling pricing of homes. And this is when I'm going to buy a home. How do I price it and how do you price it correctly? So same things come into play here. So first of all, you look at all the comparables. Ideally, you want to find a property that would be considered your ARV or your after reno valued property. So what is that property worth? What does it look like inside? This is the next step. Looking at all the things inside. What are the finishings like? Is there a finished basement? Did they put pot lights in it? Did they upgrade flooring? Did they put a new kitchen, new bathrooms, all that kind of stuff? You find one of those that looks great. That's your ARV. You can also find ones that look similar inside. They're older. They're, need work. They need to be updated. Nothing's been done to the property. Electrical panels old, lighting's old, kitchen's old, all those sort of things. So we would look at that property. So we take the ARV property. First thing we do, we take off 15% off the top. And when I say off the top, and an ARV. We don't want just one property that is, our after reno value. We want to find a couple that are in that range.
Right.
We don't want the highest one, because the highest one is usually an outlier. And we want the ones that are, things are selling for in the neighborhood or the immediate neighborhoods. Then what we would do is we would take our 15% off of that ARV, and then we start factoring in what it would cost to renovate this property to look like that other property, to be able to get top dollar on the market for it. So this is what we would call our max allowable offer, or MAO. You'd start with that ARV, you take your 15%, then you take, I don't know, maybe it's $150,000 worth of renovations. Then you deduct that $150,000 off of that, because you got to put that into it. Right. To be able to get the same money as the other one. And that 15% off the top covers everything else, land transfer, realtor fees, all that kind of stuff. And then a little bit for your pocket. Obviously, you got to make some money off of these properties.
Right. I was going to say, it's a business, right? Everyone's got to make a bit of cookie. So basically, you go for the top price and you work your way backwards.
Yeah.
Right. And you deduct and deduct and
correct.
So and what that does for if you're purchasing that property, then the I guess what's the word I'm looking for? What the buyer gets out of it is saving on realtor fees, saving on a bunch of other fees that they'd incurred if they did good rent.
You mean the seller? The seller who's
the seller,
yeah. So the seller is saving some money in a few places. So first of all, like paying a realtor or two realtors to sell that house and bring a buyer to the house. The other thing is, as we know, most of the time, a realtor will want you to clean up the house, maybe paint the walls, make it look, it's got to look presentable if you're going to sell it on MLS.
In this market, it does, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So now it's like, leave your junk behind. Don't worry about fixing the walls that are beat up, the baseboards, replacing doors. Don't do any renovations or fixing it up to present
basically,
it. Leave it as is.
They just hand the keys to you and say, there you go.
That's right. So that's what my price is based on. Right. Even removing your junk, maybe it's helping you out with your legal costs and stuff like that too.
Right.
My price is based on helping you out, so that way you don't have to put any more effort into selling this property. I'll come in, make you a cash offer, and we'll move on.
Right.
So this is how a property is priced for buying. And then there's a price that's applied to selling. So once I've given my max allowable offer, and I don't want to be in the max allowable offer, obviously, I want to be below that, because it's got to be desirable for an investor at the end of the day. They need to want to buy this. It's got to make sense for them once they put $150K in renos and pay their land transfer. Right. And
they want to make a little bit of extra.
Yeah, they want to make money off of it. And like in this market, in any market, making $20K off of a house is not worth it anymore. You gotta make big money.
when you're taxed to death, right? So
yeah, for sure. So that's why the max allowable offer is probably as high as you possibly want to go. So let's take that house for example that guy was trying to sell, and he was saying the ARV on it was 1.2. And he was selling it for 1.125. That's like
there's
$80 grand difference.
There's no money in it.
15% off of that right off the top is like 150K. Like we need to be around 100,000 and then start minusing what updates do I need to do to make it look pretty like that other one. Right. And that one wasn't even a good comparable because it's a bigger house. But
so basically, you have to get it at such a price as to where all your costs are covered, and it's still attractable and easy to move to an investor, and an investor has to see financial gain in it,
the value in it. It depends on what the investor wants to do. They want to turn it into rentals, or they want to fix and flip it. The numbers just have to be there. It has to work out, or else it's not a desirable property, which is what I'm seeing a lot of. I'm seeing a lot of properties come out that are not desirable. The numbers aren't there. You didn't get a low enough price on it to make it worthwhile. I feel like people are just buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff to try and put it out there and see if they can resell it. And a lot of them are coming back. So, that kind of goes into my last point here. And that's, first of all, like finding out what my max allowable offer is to the seller. Now I want to know, what am I going to sell this to the investor or the buyer at the end of the day for? So, I got my max allowable offer. I've taken my 15%. I've taken my renovation budget. I've factored in the other things, the realtor costs and land transfer and taxes and all those sort of things. And now I want to take a little bit more off to make it desirable. So my max allowable offer is, say, whatever, $540,000. There's not too many $540,000 houses out there anymore, but there is some. And then I want to go below that, because maybe that's where I want to advertise this at. I want to advertise this at $539,900 and get some interest and get some buyers. So I want to be around 520, maybe make 20,000 off of it, 30,000, whatever it is, to make it desirable for the investor. I don't want to be at the top of the price range, because I'm not going to make anything off of it. And sure, like maybe I can pass it on to somebody, they'll be happy at that price. But if I haven't factored myself in there, then I'm not making any money.
We've all got bills to pay, love.
Yeah, we do.
We've all got bills.
Yeah. Do you, I just rambled a lot, but do you have a process for calculating properties for MLS, or does that not really come into play?
Not really, because they're so individual, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you've got an area, let's say Milton, right? Milton's a pretty new area. It's the land of Madame, and most of the homes here are cookie cutter. There's a few older areas where the homes are quite eclectic, but mostly they're all cookie cutter. So knowing all the floor plans, so being in Milton for so long, knowing all the floor plans, knowing all the all the different builders that built here, yes, you can get a very easy idea of what they're being priced for. You can get that roundabout number, and then it's just a matter of we've got the floor plan, we've got the bedrooms, we've got the bathrooms. Now it's just we've got the area, we know the schools. Now it's just a matter of what's the differences between what the comp is and what what this one needs to be going up at, just based on updates, upgrades. Is there a bathroom added in the basement? So things like that, right? But then if you go into an area like Burlington or Oakville, where you've got older homes, then it becomes a little bit, you can't rely on that. Right, because it's not so much cookie cutter.
Is there a number? I've always kind of wondered this. Like, what price do you put on an extra garage or on a garage, or what price do you put on, a 4-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom? There's got to be like some kind of number, like when you can't find the immediate comparable. Is there like, extra bedrooms worth 20 grand, a garage is worth 20 grand?
So what you do in that case, and I actually done a CMA yesterday, but it's actually for a condo, but it will give you a good idea of the difference. So this is a 1-bedroom condo, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and I was doing a CMA for it in Mississauga, a building in Mississauga, and I didn't have any comps of 1 bedrooms that have sold, right? So, but I did have comps of 2 bedrooms, right? So looking at what they have sold for, like a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom. Okay, now I'm looking for the value of that extra bedroom. So it gave me a good idea of, number one, what this 1 bedroom would be worth now, based on some sales that happened last year and deducting and adding from month to month appreciation, depreciation. So I got to my number for that from last year's numbers. So now if I look at what the 2-bedroom selling versus my number now, what I would estimate this 1 bedroom at, it gave me a difference of $60,000. So that tells me, okay, so in this particular building, this particular location, this, where we are, the value for an extra bedroom. And I took a 2 or 3 comps that had the 2 bedrooms that have sold this year. So, and they all told me the same story. So the difference in price for that bedroom is probably valued around about 50, 60 for that particular area. So that's how I work those numbers out. If I don't have, sales of what I'm looking for, and sometimes it's not that easy. You just got to dig a little deeper. But that's a good example of what I was working on yesterday.
Sure. So there is a value in certain areas, is what you're saying, on
you can
specific
ballpark
things.
it. You can ballpark it, but you really do need to, do your homework, do your due diligence, and do what you're being paid to do for the client.
I know I mentioned earlier today during this podcast here about, a bathroom's easy. So, we always factor, 10 grand for a brand new bathroom from scratch sort of thing. So, you can add that in. Bathrooms aren't always that much. If you've got a bathroom and you're just renovating it, it's a different story. But if you're adding a whole new bathroom and adding plumbing and all that kind of stuff. So, if there's an unfinished basement and, your comparable has a finished basement with another bedroom and another bathroom in there, does that give you a number, like what a finished basement's worth over a non-finished basement in value?
Again, I'd use the same strategy as what I've just explained as far as the condo rate. But yeah, I mean, usually a finished basement, you're looking at a good, 100 grand plus difference in price with some properties. Yeah. And again, it depends on where you are. So here in Milton, and this is a good, you've got to know who your audience is, right? Who your buyer audience is. So here in Milton, it's predominantly young families. Young families need space. So a finished basement would be really important in a market like Milton, right? As to where if it's an unfinished basement, I could see in a community like Milton, that would be a big deal for a buyer, right? So you have to really focus in on, okay, who's my audience? Who am I marketing this to, right? And do I have everything I need in this subject property to market it to that audience, right? But I'd use the same strategy. I'd look at properties with no finished basement versus finished basement and then work my numbers that way.
For sure. Hey, and if you're watching this and you're confused and you want some help and you want to know how to price a property properly or correctly, reach out and find out, what calculations we use, how to price things on MLS. You can always reach out to Midge. If you're looking to wholesale, reach out to me. We can talk about numbers and how to price things to get interested buyers on the back end. Yeah,
because you know what, my loves? We've always got your back. We've got your back, my ducks.
My ducks.
We've got your back, my duckies. That's what we say back home.
So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that. This my duck thing.
Oh, my favorite part.
Yeah, but first of all, what is my duck? What is a duck?
It's not my duck. It's midduck.
Midduck.
So we touched on this a couple of weeks ago. So midducky is it's a term of endearment back home. So in hello me mate, hello cocker, like that's like more London. But in Nottingham we have our own slang. So we're known
Nottinghamese.
Nottinghamese. Hello me ducker. Hey up me duck. How are you? It's like hello my love. How are you? How are you doing?
So Midge sent me a list of some terms and phrases that are Nottinghamese.
They should be
Nottinghamese. Am I saying that properly?
Yeah, you got that right at least.
at least I got something right. So we're gonna take a look at some of these Nottinghamese sayings. I'm gonna try and say them.
Yeah.
And
so I sent you the list. So you go down the list and you tell me. So I want you to do the statements and comments, not just, we can go back to the words if you want, but let's look at the statements and comments. And I want you to read some of these lines out to me.
So I'm going to try and say these. And Midge is going to correct me and call me a Muppet probably.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's not good. You're not going to be able to get this.
And then you're going to translate these into
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Canadian
I'll
English
let you know
for
what
us.
they mean. I'll let you know. I'm not going to leave you in the dark. I'm not going to leave you hanging.
So first one I got on my list
Go on.
is "I'm going with me, son." I don't know. Am going with me, son.
I'm going with my son. That's how you say. No, I'm going with my son, which means I'm going on my own.
Okay.
I'm going with my son.
Sen. Yeah, it totally makes
Sen.
sense.
Yeah, that's
Totally
what that
makes
means. I'm going with my son.
All right.
You totally bollocks that one up.
This one's probably a little easier. I'm gonna skip down to the third one here. I've got it with me. With me. I got it with me.
With me. I got it with me. I got it with me. That's how. Yeah, but I got it with me. I've got it with me. It's the posh version. I've got it with me. Whereas back home we'd say, yeah, oh, shut up. I've got it with me.
The next one here.
Oh my God, this is bringing back memories.
I ain't got it. I ain't got it.
I got it. I ain't got it.
I ain't got it. Ain't got it.
Which means I haven't got it.
You don't have it.
I haven't got it. That's a pretty simple one.
Do not have it.
Right. Go to
jump down to this one. This one's a little bit longer one.
Go on.
Okay. Bear with me on this one, all right?
This would be a good one if it's the one I'm thinking.
Todd im Ekud Pleasenson. I feel like I'm speaking like Swedish or something. Yeah, some kind of Swedish kind of language. Let me try this again.
Say it again.
Todd im Ekud please in son. Todd Ekud please in son.
I have a Volvo. Right, so that right. So I'm gonna give.
Terrible.
I'm gonna give. Yeah. I told him he can please himself.
What?
I told him he could please himself, which means please yourself. Make the decision yourself. Please yourself. Like make the decision yourself. Please yourself. I told him he could please himself.
Okay.
Like, can I go to the park? Please yourself. I don't care.
Is that the one that you were thinking I was going to choose?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit of a longer one.
Super, super hard. I told you, and I telling no more.
I told you, and I'm not telling you no more.
It's like the spelling of this is so much worse than what it sounds like.
I told you, and I'll not tell you no more.
I can translate that one now that I hear you say it. I've told you, and I'm not telling you again. Basically,
that's an easy one.
Yeah. Let's go down. Ear. Isn't that a character in Winnie the Pooh? ER? Eeyore? ER?
ER. That's how you'd say that. ER.
ER.
ER. ER. So if you're giving something to someone, you'd be like, ER. But if you're going to take, it's like, ear.
Here. That's all that means is here. Here you go. Or give it here.
Give it here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gear off on it. Gear off on it. Gear off on it.
Which one is that?
Gear off on it.
Go get off on it. Get off on it. That's how you'd say that. You what? Get off on it. You're bloody joking. Get off on it. So that would be go away, leave it alone, get off on it. If you're touching something, get off on it.
You'd say that to your dog, it sounds like. Get off of it.
I do, get off on it. Yeah, that's what that means. Yeah.
And get on with it.
Get on with it, for God's sakes. Get on with it. Right?
Get on with it. Okay.
Yeah, get on with it, for God's sakes. What bloody hell's wrong with you?
Let's go down here. This one, I have no idea what it says. It's the next longer one in the list. It's sen bit black over Bill's moutha. What? It's a bin black over Bill's moutha. It's a bit black over Bill's moutha. I don't know what that means.
I'm looking at it.
You don't even know it?
It's a bit black over. It's a bit black over Bill's mother. I don't know that one. Never
Looks like rain is what it says. Even stumped you with the Nottingham.
I've been gone too long. I know most of them, but I never heard of that one. If somebody said that to me, I'd probably know what it is. Be like, oh bloody hell, yeah.
Here's one that's probably you've used this one before. I'm sure you use it now. Shut up, Elsa. Bat Yatab.
Say it again.
Shut up.
Yeah, shut up or I'll bat your tab. I mean, shut up or I'm going to smack you around the ear. Shut up or I'll bat your tabs for you.
Yeah, that's what I figured. You probably used that one multiple times.
Shut up or I'll bat your tabs. Jesus.
There was another one here too.
Shut your gob, put a sock in it.
Say that again.
Shut your gob, put a sock in it.
Shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Put a sock in it. We used to put a sock in it. So yeah. Shut your gob. Gob is mouth. I assume. Okay. Oh man. This summit up I'm. This summit up I'm.
There's something up with him. I mean, there's something up with him. Like if you weren't talking to me, and you know what? Where's JJ? I don't know. There's something up with him.
Yeah, like when I read these, I feel like I'm speaking Scandinavian, Swedish, something like that. Yeah. And then when you say it, I can understand what it's supposed to mean.
Yeah, there's something up with him.
Something up with that guy.
Yeah, there's something up with him.
Something's up with him.
Yeah, something up with him.
This one's, has a different meaning here in Canada than it does in Nottingham or England, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Tobogganing.
Oh, not tobogganing, you muppet. It's tab-hanging. Tab-hanging means you're eavesdropping. You're listening in on someone's convo.
You're tobogganing.
No, you're tab-hanging.
I still can't say it. Tobogganing. You're tobogganing. Tab-hanging. Yeah. What is tab-hanging?
It's listening to someone's convo.
Eavesdropping on their conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Being a nosy bastard.
Tin. This one's easy. I can get this one. Tin.
No. So how you say that is it's in the tin.
What?
So even though all them three words, tin, are spent the same. So the first one is like tin.
Into tin.
The tin. Tin, the tin.
Tin,
it's not in the tin. Tin, the tin.
What's the tin?
Tin there. So you could tin there.
It isn't in the tin.
Yeah.
Is what it's.
Yeah, that's what it means. Isn't in the tin.
What's the tin? Well, what are you putting in the tin?
They're just using a tin. You can use the same. Tin there. It's in the pantry.
Tin the drawer.
It's in the drawer. I can't find it. Tin. Yeah.
Okay.
So even though it's spelled TIN-TIN, it's That's three separate words. That's three different words.
Let's try one more here.
Go on.
It's a few up from that. Mekit Gebakids. Mikit Gebakids. Something about backwards. I'm assuming.
Make it go backwards. Make it go backwards. Backwards. Make it go backwards. Put it in reverse. Backwards.
All right.
Make it go backwards.
Nottinghamese.
Nottinghamese.
I'll put this aside. Maybe you give us a few that you use on a regular basis. Besides the "I up me duck," I hear that one all the time from you.
Put kettle on. I'm gagging for a cuppa. Or a cup of char. Put kettle on, ducky. I'm gagging for a cup of char. Oh, fucking gagging. Crash the ash.
What's that?
Give me your cigarettes. You're around. So crash the ash. Used to use that all the time. What else was there? But here's the thing, though. So when we were born and raised in Nottingham, my mom tried her hardest to keep us away from all the slang language.
That's tough, though, when you're going to school and
I know. But if
whatever.
we ever came home and spoke that nonsense in front of my mother, we'd get a backhander because she could not, because she tried her best that we wouldn't speak like that.
She'd tell you
we wouldn't speak like that.
What was it? Sure up. Put a sock in it.
She'd never say that.
Sure up.
She'd never say that.
Sure up and put a sock in it. So thanks for tuning in today. Remember to check out all of our socials at Midge and JJ. Subscribe to this video. Subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Ciao.
Bye, darlings. Love you.